What's up everybody, it's me Gwen. Today I have a quick little tutorial for you on how I made this wig for my Jinx cosplay from Arcane. So starting off, what I did, I have this wig that I got off my Amazon wishlist. I will link it in the description down below. It is very long, very thick, and very heavy, but it also was ugly. So it took a lot of work, but I'm going to show you how I took that ugly hairline and turned it into a fake hairline and redid the braids and all that good stuff. So that is what we're going to be doing today. So as you can see, I started off by untangling the wig and undoing those ugly braids because they just were not going to do. This wig needs like full restyling. So I did one braid at a time because this wig had a lot of hair, like a lot. You can see how thick it is, but because we're crazy, I'm gonna make it thicker and more textured. So what I'm gonna do is take my handy dandy crimper and crimp the whole thing. I mean, like top to bottom. I'm gonna have to look up how many inches long this wig is because it was like down to my knees. So this took absolutely forever, but I did it anyways. So I just took small little sections at a time and crimped away. This thing also got super duper tangled, so I used some wig detangling spray and a wide tooth comb, and I had to just detangle mostly the edges. Were just so bad, so I had to detangle as I went before I crimped. And this is what half of it ended up looking like after over an hour of crimping. I decided to skip out on crimping the ends because they already had a lot of texture. So I only crimped probably 80% of the way. But after that was done, I went ahead and I braided back up that half. Now these are not going to be our final braids because they're just not. This is just to kind of keep the hair out of the way while we braid the other side. And after both sides are crimped and braided, I'm gonna go ahead and throw this bad boy on to see how it looks. And I quickly realized that it looked absolutely terrible. Like, this wig needed a lot of work. So I just take my hair cutting scissors and I start doing an up and down motion to thin out the wig and add texture and add volume. Now, as I was thinning this out, I realized that there was just way too much hair that was pre-sectioned off for these bangs. So I went ahead and I took like over half of the bangs. And I mean, come on, you can just see how terrible it looks. But I ended up taking about half of the bangs that they pre-sectioned off and clipping them in the back. And I planned on braiding that into the wig because there was just way too much hair. Like, her bangs are not that thick. So once I got that hair out of the way, I finished cutting what would actually be my bangs. And because I get so invested into my projects, I completely forgot to film the part where I cut the ugly hairline weft off. But just cut the entire front weft off. It's pretty prominent, so you'll be able to see exactly where to cut. So after that, you're going to want to take saran wrap or some type of protective material to pin onto your wig stand. This will help keep any glue from sticking to it. And then you just pop your wig right on. Make sure you pin it down to secure it. And then we're going to get right into the nitty-gritty of styling that fake hairline. So I start off by taking some chunks of the hair that we cut off of the front and just kind of cleaning them up a little bit and getting them ready to glue. So just use little pieces at a time, otherwise the glue isn't gonna fully stick. But what I did is I take my E6000 glue and I started off by putting it directly onto the wig cap But after trying that out, I figured that it didn't work very well. The hair didn't really stick like I would have liked it to. But also, this type of glue takes at least 24 hours to fully cure. So I knew that after messing with it a little bit, the hair was not going to stay in place like I wanted it to. So after trying to add more glue and press it down, I decided to try to take some of the glue onto a hairbrush and coat the entire end part in that glue, because then I figured it would be completely saturated and stick better. And this did work better, but I wanted to try out a different method. And so after I finished this, I pulled out my hot glue gun and then I tried that as a second method. This entire process was a lot of trial and error to see what worked best. But stay tuned, because I promise it worked. I promise it turned out okay. Just bear with me on this, trust the process. Now, I will say, when you're picking the type of glue you want to use, the E6000 glue did end up leaving a little bit of a shiny residue, but the hot glue left some weird texture and some clumps, which I ended up kind of trimming off and covering with extra hair in the end. But just keep that in mind when you are picking glue for your own hairline. And also, don't worry too much about the shape, because we are going to go back later and trim it down to match Jinx's actual hairline. And also make sure that you glue the hair in a way that the hairline is a little bit longer than what you actually want it to be in the end, because the last thing you want to do is cut your hairline too short and then have the wig sitting way back on your forehead, because then you're going to have a 5 head, and nobody wants to wear a wig that gives you a 5 head. So this is what the hairline ended up looking like when I finished gluing. I didn't go all the way down to the ears on either side, so just keep that in mind. And then I also did French braids, which were way in the back, and I, again, forgot to film that, but I just did basic French braids. And then I added the little gold pieces to her hair, and bing bang boom, we have our wig for my Jinx cosplay. I was very, very proud of how it turned out, and let me know if you used this video at all for yours, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye!